Hey guys, and happy Sunday. I'm stationed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the weather has been very, very good to us. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me this evening during these very trying and difficult times in 2021. I am your host, Shayrenee, and welcome to the premiere of the Indie Spotlight Special Edition Sundays, which is happening right now on Instagram Live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6 p.m. Central Time. You can watch each and every episode of the India Spotlight at IGTV at Shayrenee215. We're having a very, very special guest tonight. I'm so honored to be interviewing him, Dr. Garfield Bright. Dr. Garfield Bright is a member of the legendary R&B quartet Shai. I remember dancing to them and singing their songs and buying their merchandise from Tower Record. He's not just a vocalist. He also has a PhD in philosophy and a MA in African American Studies. So please give a warm welcome to Dr. Garfield Bright. And he's here. So I'll be inviting him to the camera. Hi.
Hey, what's good?
How are you? Oh,
I'm
I'm so excited to be interviewing you today.
I'm good. I'm great.
Great,
Is the
great.
top of my head chopped off? Like the way I look
A
off?
little, a
Okay.
little, but yeah. Oh, so how are you feeling today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good, good. Oh, I see like you have many, many accomplishments. And I wanted to thank you for being very reachable, someone like that I can really talk to and stuff like that. And just, I'm just happy that I'm able to do this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate what you're doing.
Okay. So the first question I want to ask you is how did you and Shy meet each other? Like how did you guys meet each other?
Oh, well, Howard University was the spot.
Hmm.
As a 17-year-old, I came to Howard University and met my first roommate, Darnell Van Rensselaer, who would, 4 years later create the group Shy. But he was my
Hmm.
roommate, and that's how he and I became close. Our paths kind of like diverged, and he ended up pledging Alpha with the other two members of the group, Carl and Mark. And then I went into student politics, and I went to Black Nia Force, headed by the mayor of Newark, New Jersey now, Ras Baraka. And so I
Wow.
was an activist type. I ran for Liberal Arts Student Council, Howard University Student Body President, and all that kind of stuff. I was in the
Wow.
nation and stuff like that. And that was my
Oh.
path. And then, senior year, we kind of like met back up again. And he and Carl had already formed a group, Shy, but at the time it was called Beta. It was just, the Beta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha is at Howard or whatever. So, then they named the Shy. Mark Gay named one of his specials in at Howard Shy, which means destiny in human form. So we thought it was apropos to name the group that. And I joined forces with them at that point, and then the rest kind of was history. We did this one big talent show at Howard, and it was
Wow.
it was a crazy show, but it showed us a lot that night because for our encore, after we sung all these Boys and Men songs, who we looked up to, still do,
Hmm.
they gave us an encore instead of booing us because they were known for booing people at this show. It was like the Apollo,
Oh,
and
wow,
they
it was
asked
tough, huh?
they asked for another song and we came in, we didn't know what to do. We was like, yo, we got an acapella, our practice song. So we rocked that. And by the second chorus, the whole crowd was singing the hook with us, like they knew the song already. And that gave us the kind of like the little sign that we probably should try to go get a record deal. And that's what we did, you know. So the rest
Wow.
was history. That's how Shy kind of formed.
Wow, like you really gave me the breakdown of that. And that's like something I didn't never ever think that I would like be able to interview because I remember like my sister buying like Shy t-shirts, singles, like when they sold cassettes and when Tower Records was opening and us singing
Howard
songs by
Records.
Shy and
Oh my
dancing.
God, I
Yes.
miss Howard Records. I miss them so much, man. Tower had everything, man.
They did.
Wax, just oh wow, all the different floors in LA. It was great.
Hmm. Yeah. So what area are you from?
Well, I'm a mutt. I was literally born in Nashville, Tennessee, in Meharry Hospital. So all the TSU
Wow.
people, but I didn't live there long. My parents were from there and everything. And then I
Hmm.
spent a little time in this place called Raccoon Village in Knoxville, Tennessee. Like totally one of my dopest childhood memories. I was a country boy
Wow.
doing it all, feeding the slop, doing all the whole nine, going to the creek, catching fish with the fishing line, and doing all the,
Yeah.
playing ball, doing all that. But then I moved to Montgomery early on in my years, Montgomery, Alabama. My parents moved there, and from
Mm.
first through like seventh grade, I was in school there. Parents got a divorce, and then I ended up moving with my dad in Boston. So all of my coming of age years, where I became kind of like who I am, I was living in Massachusetts, in Boston, and that's why I graduated from high school up there. And when I would come home from Howard, it was always coming home to Boston. Well, actually Brockton, Massachusetts. Brockton
Wow.
boxes, home of Rocky Marciano and Marvin Hagler, rest in peace. So
Hmm.
that's really where I came of age, and that's kind of what shaped me the most, I think. But yeah, I'm a mixture of two. I'm a mixture of the South and the North. And my grandma lived in New York on 128th and Lexington. So like every other weekend while I was in high school, we would go down there, Jackie Robinson housing projects, and then take care of her and stuff like that until she passed. So I was always out in New York too. So that kind of like, my little impressionable years, the more hip hop was coming into its own. I was
Mm.
out there, doing my thing, playing ball with dudes. People thought I was Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? They was trying to speak to me in Spanish. I didn't know what the heck they was talking about. You know what I mean? But I had love. I had love for that whole scene. But yeah, Brockton is where I kind of had the most time spent. In my childhood. That kind of like made me a little bit.
Wow, you have like such like you have such like a rich background, and I'm just like happy that I can interview you and interview people to find out, like what they've been up to and where they're from and stuff. Um, could you tell everyone like where they can find you at all your like social media platforms and stuff like that?
Okay. Well, I'm kind of whack, but I know my Instagram is the Garfield Bright Experience. That's my personal. But Shai, we still actively do shows and stuff like that. So you can find us
Yeah.
on Instagram as well and Facebook at Shieroglyphics. It's spelled like Shai, Shai, and then like hieroglyphics with the roglyphics part. So you put
Mm-hmm.
roglyphics after the Shai and Shieroglyphics, and
That's
that'll
nice.
take you right to us, and you can inquire about booking or just whatever it is you want to check out. But for me on my page, just holler at me. I do a show called Curiosity Collage that comes out on Mondays, and a lot of
Yeah.
dope people, come through and check me out. Right now, I'm doing a Black Family series, stands for Forgotten and Minimized Iconic Leaders of Yesterday. And so tomorrow I'm dropping one on this dude named Oscar Me Show. But I did a lot. I did Fumilayo Kuti, Fela Kuti's mom. She was a hell of a freedom fighter in Nigeria that a lot of people don't know about. And I did Paul
Sure.
Robeson, so that one is coming along pretty well too.
You know,
And
you're
rest in
full of a
peace,
lot of
Black Rob. I
impressive
just want to
things.
say rest in peace to Black Rob. That's a
Yes,
fallen
rest in
soldier.
peace to Black Cloud.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yes, yes.
DMX too, and all our
Yes, and
fallen
DMX.
comrades. That's had to check out
Yeah.
unfortunately a little too early. A lot of my
Yeah.
peers, I'm 51, so a lot of my peers are not
Well,
making it.
you look
I
you make
appreciate
51
I
look very
appreciate
good.
that. You know
So.
what I mean? I feel good. I try to take care of myself, but
Yeah.
I just wish a lot of my brothers and sisters, the best in terms of health, because that without your health, man, I don't care how much money you have, you can't enjoy your life. You know what I mean? So
That is so true. Health is wealth. I'm
yeah,
so with you with that.
no doubt.
Um, so you have an Instagram. You have two Instagram vlogcasts, right? So which was the first one you were talking about? You were talking about two.
Well,
One
Curiosity
is titled.
Collage is the
Okay.
one, but within Curiosity Collage, I also branched out and I have a series running right now that's featuring
Oh, okay, okay,
forgotten,
okay.
iconic Black, Black historical figures that don't get enough props to me and compared to what they, presented to society on behalf of Blackness in the culture.
I
So,
feel you. I was looking at some of it. I was like, oh, you gotta, yeah, like you don't you have you're a doctor. So what do you have your PhD in? I think I said it right earlier, but what do you have your PhD in?
it's educational policy studies is what I
Oh, educational policy studies. Okay, I thought
yeah.
it was philosophy, but I'm sorry.
Well, a PhD is a doctor of philosophy, so
Oh,
when you
okay.
get down to it, it's the philosophical underpinnings of those content areas. So you write partially, you know what I mean, when you say that. But I'm not an MD, so in that regard, though that contrast, you're right. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor of philosophy, but my specific trajectory, research-wise, is educational policy studies. So
Wow.
But my master's
Wow.
is African American studies, like you said. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, like, wow. Like I said, oh, impressive.
yeah.
Very impressive.
And they all focus on education. Like my in African American studies, my master's, my thesis was directed at independent um, black schools and what is an Afrocentric education. And so in my PhD work, I looked at how black males navigated inequitable spaces of power, focused on the music industry as well as black males in classrooms. And so those are two sides of my own self, really, that I wanted to research. But a couple of your followers, well, Tracy Lee specifically was in my PhD, my dissertation. I interviewed him. So he was one of my actual
Wow.
cats. Yeah, he contributed greatly to my work. You know what I mean? That's one of my Howard comrades. And he's just an all around
Wow.
awesome, awesome dude. He's an attorney and an artist at the same time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I was
always
able
give
to interview him a
that
little
guy love.
earlier.
And big ups to Philly. Philly is one of my favorite cities. You know what I mean?
Oh
So,
my God.
oh
Like so
yeah, hands down, man. Philly's so much culture. It's just a lot to Philly. A lot of people don't, a lot of people will never really know. But Philly is one of those moving and shakers, especially when it comes to blackness and black power and just consciousness, period. And it's radical.
Mhm.
It's not complacent. Philly is like a place to keep your eye on in terms of social movement at all times, for better or for
Wow.
worse. Philly represents. Always has. You know what I mean? So
Why couldn't we have someone like you come in and speak in my music business class? I could just like see us like talking all day because I ask like so many questions. They should have people like you, like Tracy Lee, like everyone that I interviewed to talk at music business because it has so many different angles and you give a lot of information and you have a lot of knowledge and I really
oh,
do
thank you.
appreciate that.
Well, shoot,
I really do
Philly.
appreciate
I
that. We
just
got to get you somehow. You should be on the TV with everything that you're doing, with
I'm
everything
I'm
that you're
I'm gonna
doing.
figure out a way to reach a broader audience sooner or later. You know what I mean? As the demand grows. But
Yeah.
because as a PhD person, I didn't go into it for the status of flexing on people saying call me Dr. Bright. That was never my motivation at all. I really went into it because I just like knowledge, and I just kept matriculating and matriculating. Till lo and behold, I look around and I had accomplished a PhD. I was a doctor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I struggle with like using that PhD-ness to put myself in front of people based on that alone. To me, I'm just Garfield I'm still the same person before I got a PhD, knowing the same stuff already. So, but in terms of business and stuff like that, I guess, I
Hmm.
put a lot of work into it. And so people are like, nah, man, you need to, but I'm one of those kind of people who didn't go into it for the flossing aspect. Like some people just totally go into it for that kind of thing in a lot of ways.
Sure.
But
Definitely understand.
if I have something to offer and something to present that people feel like is food, then I guess it's totally my duty to kind of like serve that if I have that capacity. Like I didn't walk when I graduated. I didn't let them hood me. I wasn't one of them. I got my
Mm.
PhD and I was cool, and I got the award-winning dissertation and everything too. Um,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
the arts and sciences, liberal arts and sciences, gave me the award for the best dissertation coming out of my cohort and stuff like outstanding dissertation. Rather. But I just did hard work and I had a 4.03 grade point average. Like I really did my thing. But it was for me to really apply myself and prove to myself that I could do something like that more than it was for me to be like, yeah, I'm gonna be Dr. Right. They're gonna call me. I never like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
my parents like love that aspect of it and stuff like that. But for me, I just, but I'm gonna figure out a way to kind of like navigate and ride that line to where I could, you know, be a conduit for certain knowledge that I know and stuff like that. So my curiosity collage is kind of halfway me starting to do that. I wrote a
Hmm.
book called Lotus 3013.
Wow.
It's a fictional, like black futurism type of piece where in 3013, hip hop is believed to be a white cultural product. And so I speak to how it got there. And, it's a mix between like, if you can imagine this, it's a mix between like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Beat Street. If you can,
Hmm.
if you can ever see those three mixed together, and it'll be out in like June. I just finished the audio book, and it's getting a write up by Stereo Williams. If people out there know who he is, he's doing a little write up on me and everything. So that'll be out soon. You can look for it. But the book will be out in June, and it'll be out also with the audio book. I have my sons who are twins, who they Grammy
Oh.
nominated for work they did with like Post Malone and stuff like that. They
Oh,
did
what's
the
their name?
Tyreek and Garfield Bright the third. Tyreek,
Tyreek and Garfield Bright
yeah,
the third. So
Tyreek
they're
Bright
music
and
writers.
Garfield Bright the third. They're a team called the Twin Towers. They big old tall dudes, twins, like 6'6". But they can
How tall
play.
are you? I'm
I'm
sorry to
six.
interrupt you.
I'm 6'3" and a half.
Oh,
I
okay,
claim my
okay,
little
okay.
half. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
very
But
no.
they did a score to my audiobook. Like they literally played a score up under it. And then we did a song, me and Darnell, Shai with KRS-One back in the day called Destiny, and it never got
Mhm.
really released. And
Mm.
I used that song to create a thread throughout the whole book. Like in between each chapter, you hear a little bit of the instrumental. And what we're talking about in that song, actually after the 10th chapter, the meek shall inherit the earth. I'm not gonna give the plot away, but that song is so like actually on point in terms of the content. I actually let it play once the book is over in chapter 10. So it's a combination between that song and then the score that the guys are playing throughout my talking that makes this thing incredible, like even by my standards. So they're finishing it up. And by June, we'll have the whole piece. And I released the audiobook and the ebook together. I'm creating a website just to sell it because I'm not going through Amazon. I'm gonna sell it directly to people who are like, followers of mine and stuff. They're gonna come to that
That's
website and
exactly.
$20 just buy that audiobook and everything. And but
No,
I
that's
guarantee I'll
appreciated.
start putting trailers out and stuff so I can advertise a little more, a little better. But believe me, I had the idea in my head for 10 years, and it's got a lot of sociological, research based things in it. It's speculative fiction, but it's got some fantasy aspects in it too.
Mm.
That's why I say it's like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. But it's dope, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't want to give it away too much, but yeah, in
No, it sounds very
2013,
dope.
hip hop was believed to be a white cultural product, and I talk about all the little nuances that got it did. The forces of good and evil. There's a big part of it that I got. These people in there on both sides of the coin fighting it out for supremacy to protect hip hop. It's some cool stuff in there, man.
It
So
sound like it's going to be a series. Honestly,
yeah, I think it's gonna
you
have to
onto
be.
something with
I think it's
that.
gonna have to be without giving too much away. And I'm looking to get it animated too, like Afro samurai style of animation because the hip hop aspect of it, like it's these cats in here. The protagonists are called the netics because they're telekinetic and telepathic, but they black dudes who they call blenders because hip hop has been profiled, so they put all the brothers in jail who was practicing hip hop. So some of the people pivoted to martial arts and yoga to build their chi energy consciousness, and they secretly practice hip hop. And so the protectors of hip hop, there's a place called the Hall of Masters that's time shifted in the fourth dimensional brain world that contain all the master recordings of all the 100 and something 1990s and black hip hop artists to prove that hip hop was once black, and they protect this place. And IC, Master IC is the main netic, and anyway, that whole thing, that's the black hip hop aspect of it, the blenders, and they're fighting against the forces of evil, just the Cetilians with Master Set. And it's been proven in the future that the way to detect a person's identity is not the fingerprint or the DNA, it's the vocal frequency. So Master Set has these voice thieves committing crimes, framing black kids because they have vocal frequency evidence at the scene of the crime through this machine that they have. But the black guy wasn't there, but in court they can't defend themselves, so they go to jail. They get 25% of their voice skins siphoned off to put in this thing called sound box that powers the geodetic grid of the earth with this black magnetic energy that can only come from a black source to make the energy hip hop. And then these scientists called neo hip hop scientists, these white guys have found this X factor by putting cathodes and anodes on the black prisoners to detect what it is that gives them that X factor that's magnetic in hip hop. So they can use it to transfer it to like architectural design. So white investors can have to see that this stuff is more appealing. Like they're using black energy to make society look doper and profiting off of it. And it's worldwide, but it's at the expense of these black prisoners. And so they create this penal class who never get to get out of jail or get visitation. And over hundreds of years, finally, the black penal class becomes the most humane class in society because they are shielded from society. They, instead of becoming more barbaric, they actually became more human. And so when they finally get out, they take over the earth, and they have to choose whether to recreate the system that put them into bondage or create a new, more humane system that's going to liberate. And so it's like interesting to see how they get there, but it's a lot to it along the way. But hip hop is fueling the whole thing. And they only speak, the netics only speak in 8, 12, 16, or 24 bar rhyme increments telepathically because rhythm And melody, just like how you learn the ABCs, has been proven to be the most penetrating way to get a thought into somebody else's mind and then have it be able to be pulled out the quickest. Like, because if you didn't have that do 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 do, you would never
Hmm.
know. You'd just be saying A, B, C. So that melody and rhyme cadences actually is a scientific way to create memory, memory-based mnemonics and stuff like that. So they're able to control thoughts easier by putting it over a pattern of rhythm. So they rhyme everything. And they master this thing called word economy and phrase physics by reducing the hardest concepts to just 8 or 16 bar verse without losing any of the meaning. So they've mastered communication in that way by getting the essence of it in rhyme form and communicating that. So they're very efficient communicators, and they live like 300 years because the way that their lifestyle is. They master chi energy, so they know how to make the energy work for them. And they work out, they're in supreme shape. But anyway, they're protectors of the Hall of Masters and the true identity that hip hop is actually started by Black and Latinos from the urban environments. And Master Set wants to crush that so he can create his narrative that white people created hip hop. And this is crazy interplay between those two camps, and they finally have the showdown, throwdown, and it's a whole thing. But it's dope though. It's crazy.
Well, if I couldn't didn't have to hold this phone, I'd be up here clapping. I'll be like, no, that's huge dialogue and very, very impressive, must I say. So,
Yeah,
and that's something that we actually need in 2021. We need somebody to talk about stuff like that.
yeah.
So I don't know, like that to me that's very, very impressive. You sound like you're definitely on your way to making a series and just like beyond a book, which
Yep.
is very, very impressive.
Lotus 3013. Lotus is the main character, and he's something else too. So yeah, it's a lot to it, man. It features a school in there called the Russell Simmons Institute of Cultural Technology, better known as Hip Hop U. It's like this underground school where these kids go in this lab and they really refine their skills. It's crazy. This whole thing is crazy. Where they learn
You
word
you
phrase
gonna
figure.
get with like I'm feeling like wow, like I'm feeling like what you combine together. It has a lot of angles to it. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah,
feeling like
it's a
Jordan
lot.
Peele, Rusty Con. I'm just feeling all that. I'm feeling all that. So I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to see it and wait to like the audio book because I
Yeah, the
usually
audiobook is
listen
gonna
to a
be
lot of
so
books.
dope. The sounds
Wow.
underneath, like they do they traverse time by saying Om in D minor, and that allows them to create a portal where they can go to the Hall of Masters because it's time shifted. And so when they do Om in D minor, mentally it creates the vibration. So my sons play D minor as I'm like underneath my voice. It's just crazy. Like the score underneath it in the audiobook is just it's crazy. Like it's good. And it's dope little sub beats that change every so often. You'll be bobbing your head. It's crazy, man. I just like,
You look
wow.
very like I'm excited. You look very excited. So I know you like sitting on a lot of some good stuff. That sounds so interesting and so well thought, so well put together, so well thought,
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
well
Thank you.
thought.
Thank you.
Um, do you have any? Now I know you were talking about your book and your audio book, but do you have any other products or merchandise for sale, whether on Instagram or or on the website or on Instagram or anywhere, any
We're
merchandise?
getting that together now because
Okay.
Darnell from the group and myself are about to launch this podcast called Bar Talk. And what it is, it's a play on words, bar talk, like, like when people are at bars, they kind of have these cool little conversations, meet up, have a drink, but it's also speaking to bars, like lyrically, of artists who are saying something poignant all throughout time. So the premise of the show is that Darnell and myself each have to bring three artists that span at least 3 different decades and two genres of music and highlight a bar from each one of them that we explore. So it can be anybody from like Sly and the Family Stone all the way up to like Rakim Allah to, whoever else, comes out that, with some significant something to say. And we look at that bar and comment on the in terms of how it's written, how well crafted it was, what it meant to the times. But then we go out and broaden it into what it means sociologically to the broader society, what it speaks to in that on that level too. And so it's 6 artists that we both collectively come together and talk about for Bar Talk. And it highlights just a whole gamut of where society is through these bars of these artists. And so we're coming out with that. But with that is going to be, we have a logo, we have merchandise that it's a dope logo. This brother named Jason did for us. And so we're gonna have merch based on that kind of stuff. And hopefully there's a streaming platform that I think we might be able to get, that we're working on putting it through, that's getting investors and stuff now. I don't want to speak too prematurely, but it's some
Oh
hard
no,
hitters
sure.
out there that are black owned, that are
Oh sure.
creating a platform that they like the content. We're gonna polish it up and get it ready. So you'll be seeing Bar Talk soon on a real big platform that up and coming, like on the level of like a Hulu or Netflix, but it's a black owned one coming up soon. I don't want to speak to it too much yet, but I think
Oh
we're
sure.
planning
You
on
don't
that.
want to give too much away, right?
Yeah, but it's gonna Bar Talk is gonna be on that, featuring Darnell and myself and stuff like that. And we have these PSAs, like, remember conjunction junk, all that kind of stuff. Well, we created these two. Um, one is called Gerald the Black Dollar, and it's gonna be based on like this black dollar bill being put in spaces that it's feeling uncomfortable in, and it's gonna be speaking to like where it's being spent at, but it's gonna be able to voice like, yo, I shouldn't be here over here, you know. And then this other one is called Bernard the Bag, and it's gonna basically be like all these young entrepreneurs out there, some educated in schools and some on the streets. But it's maybe like six scenarios of cats with certain skills, and the ones with the dopest skills, to follow through, the communication skills and stuff like that, whether or not it's school based or in the streets based. Bernard the Bag will walk past their crib at night, and if they worthy, he'll plant himself on their crib, and basically saying, when they open their door in the morning, they'll see the bag. Basically, they hard work and their follow through and their ethic. If you got it like that, no matter which way you try to flip it, if you're really about your business and you study, you do your research, and you apply yourself, you'll end up with the bag. And so we showing what types of people are generally going to be the ones that be successful, no matter what domain they find themselves in, and basically showing too black businesses, where you spend your dollar really matters and stuff like that. Some people, there are some academicians who would say otherwise, but I still think there's something to spending black money within the black community and empowering each
Definitely.
other. Even if there's not enough money within that to really make a big dent in terms of some huge funded social movement, it's still something
Mm-hmm.
to be said about supporting black owned businesses if you're black. It's still
That's
something
true.
about that. So we putting that message out too, in the tradition of Schoolhouse Rock, the way they would portray, like, I'm just a bill and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We creating our own messages in the modern times, the modern context, along with the Bar Talk as commercials in between, like the segment. So we trying to create a
No, yeah,
recreate.
that's like it. I feel like you're bridging together like older music, legendary music, legendary R&B, education, messages, knowledge, music literacy, all that together,
For sure.
and making like you like sound like you made another network, honestly.
We trying to really, really
Like,
push and promote
it's
that
exciting. It's very
continuity,
exciting.
because we need more transversal communication between us, and that fuels a lot, because there's a lot of two-way learning that could be had between the generations. Like the young generation, they got an incredible hustle,
Yeah.
incredible swag and follow through in terms of like what they see, they go for it. And a lot of the older heads who are like they waiting for the perfect opportunity, they held back because they don't have that thing, but they have knowledge and they'll do research, and some of them cats and the younger, they'll just jump out there without the research, but they willing to get out. So I feel like we could learn,
Yeah, yeah.
it needs to be something to bridge us so we won't be against each other. We can actually recognize
Work
and respect
together.
each other in a
Yeah.
mutual way and use each other as resources to just come up collectively, man. You know what I mean? It starts with that respect, with that communication. So trying to create models to facilitate that, bridges that could facilitate that is what, nothing better than music to kind of like do that
Yeah.
through. You know what I mean?
Universal language
Yeah. So that's
and
that's what's
acceptable
happening.
things.
That's what we try to, that motivates us. You know what I mean? Because how many people, I don't care if you're a young head, you sitting in a room and hear some Frankie Beverly and Maze or some Earth, Wind and Fire, it's gonna still move you.
Timeless.
Like, I don't care who you are, you know what I'm saying? That's still gonna do something to you,
It
so
definitely is. And so many singers of these days have used inspiration uh from like past groups just like Shy or like any other like past soul artist or R&B group like you said like Frankie Brothers Maze. like people of my time or like younger people don't really know how much of that is in their beats and how much of that is in like production and stuff
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure. But they
And
grooving to it nonetheless. You put the drum
yeah,
pattern of the funky drummer in anything, it's gonna move
yeah,
the crowd. I don't care if they don't know where it's coming from or they do. It's proof
right,
positive that it's moving their head, it's bobbing their head. That frequency is still tapped in. So
yeah,
it wouldn't hurt to be educated about who that is and where that's from and why you feeling
exactly,
that feeling like that. You know what I mean? Melodically and percussively, like that's in us, man. That's running through the bloodstream. So you might as well know why. You know what I mean? So I want to help facilitate that joint thing, where people can get the understanding of the why and the how. So that's just a part of
definitely.
me. Yeah.
Well, you're doing very amazing things and very great things that I hear you doing.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
I
Thank
just
you. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
just want to know that we see it, and I was happy that I'm having you on to talk about it, to go more into dialogue and talk about it.
Glad to
Um,
be here. I'm glad you had me.
I just hopefully one day I could work with you in some way or form, whether on education, music education level, or just like music or something. Because
Just say be and it is. It's like minded. We vibrating and reverberating and resonating on
hmm
the same content, the same truth.
hmm
Ain't nothing separating us but the illusion. So so it all comes back to one, anyways. So if we acknowledge that, we already got a bridge built. It's right there in the
exactly.
melanin. The melanin already says it. You know what I mean?
That's right. Um, So, due to the COVID-19 shutdowns and restrictions of live music, and I know music and just like live performance and traveling took a huge hit on us.
For sure.
Where do you see it? Where do you see the future of like live music and traveling and entertainment?
Well, believe it or not, if you had asked me that 2 months ago, I might have had a different answer than today. Like we've been
Mm-hmm.
getting some show offers within the last 2 weeks that I never thought was going to happen again. So now I'm actually able to say, well, it's opening back up a little bit. You know what I mean?
hmm
Whereas before, I didn't think that was going to happen. But smaller venues, more intimate venues, um, with a smaller capacity, you know.
hmm
But still people are looking to escape through the music and
Definitely.
at the extent to which the city laws are able to let people come to a venue, it's going to happen because it's bursting at the seams, whether it be music or like the movies or any
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
escape genre.
Live
People are
entertainment.
ready
Yeah.
for that. They need, because we're social beings, we need to be around people, and
Yeah.
so but music specifically is something that brings people together.
Powerful.
And
hmm
so it's happening. We got a couple of shows coming up soon in different couple of places. I think we got offered. We got a show I think in Atlanta coming up, Utah, Denver, like different places, and so
Wow.
forth. More to come and everything. So yeah, I see it getting close to being kind of like how it was. Maybe not on the same scale because
hmm
the social distancing aspect of it all. So the venue might be a venue that could hold X amount of people, but it's gotta respect those laws and only a certain capacity is going to be able to come. But as an
hmm
artist, that still moves you in terms of inspiring you to come perform. You get to, you still get to have a livelihood where you get paid, but you still get to come in front of people and get that energy from a crowd,
Yeah.
and so and
Yeah.
then they get to feel you and go through some life moments with your music that what your music represents to them in terms of them growing up, having their first kiss to If I Ever Fall in Love or something like that. They get to relive that while
Yeah.
you performing that. And so it's a two-way win-win. And so I think that'll never die. Like, I think somehow, some way, just I hate to put this analogy, but the same way like how drugs become like on underground market, even
hmm
with the restrictions in place, like during the days of prohibition, you still had the speakeasies. I feel
Yeah.
like in some areas, just how you have the after hours that ain't supposed that are illegal. I think you would have venues functioning in a way to where people can come together to enjoy music because it's just that's something that you just cannot scrub out of humanity. Like that's a thing that's just not gonna go anywhere, whether it's done legally or illegally. Why? Because artists that are true artists are going to perform whether or not they get paid for it. That it's in them. So there are people who are listeners and connoisseurs and consumers of music that will go to a venue to hear some live music, whether it's sanctioned by the law or not. Like that's something that
hmm
there's something magical about that, something magnetic
And some
about that.
special live music.
That's like on a level of electron orbit when it's an unstable outer electron field, and they need another electron to make it whole. That they're gonna find that, and it's gonna become a stable. Even if they're sharing it, people are gonna find a place to plug in to make their soul feel good. Like they're gonna find that place, that soul food. And if somebody get a glimpse of Mint Condition or Boys to Men or Shai or Jodeci or Silk or H-Town or
Yes.
somebody that they feel and come to their town, they gonna figure out how to get there and feel that feel. You know what I mean? It's just one of
Yeah.
those. So yeah, I just by hook or crook, I think live music is always gonna be something, COVID or not, that's gonna be there. And then you can look at the ethics of it later, but people are gonna come check it out, even if they put themselves at risk.
Definitely, especially if they come in to see, like you said, quality R&B and something that
Yeah,
they haven't seen in a long
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, think
Yeah.
about like if you say Philly, think about the Roots. I'm a huge Roots fan. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Black Thought is probably the dopest MC name ever. Black Thought. That's crazy, right? And
It's poetry, right?
that's so. But actually, to have a band, a real
Yeah.
band, like with
Yeah.
Questlove, like real musicians, and then
A band,
you get
yeah.
Tyreek, Black Thought, and front
Yeah.
killing it. Rest in peace, Malik B. Um,
Yes.
like people will come,
Sorry
I
to
will
lose
come
that.
see that, like my mellow, my man, like all that they push, what I'm saying, phrenology,
Yeah.
all the different things they put out is something that I would come check out because the music makes you feel good. It's just dope. Treatment, baby, that silent treatment song, all that kind of
Uh-oh,
stuff.
you gave us some.
Oh man,
You
that's like
teased us.
because the Roots moves me, man. That's like, that was the most unique hip hop group to ever come out to me. Like, you know
It's
what I
very
mean?
unique, yeah.
And like my favorite, R&B group is Mint Condition for the same reason, because they called us all boy bands at some point, but they are really a band. And Stokely on the
Yeah.
vocals is crazy, on the pens, crazy, and people don't even know Stokely is actually a drummer on par with
Wow.
your boy Questlove. Like he's a hell of a drummer. Chris, Dave, Stoke, like these dudes are all hell of drummers. And but Stokely's a drummer by trade. That's his main thing. He just happened to have a vocal like that and can write his ass off. But he's a drummer. So that's just musicianship all around. I would pay to see all that. You know what I mean? Like that, nobody can keep
Yes.
me away from that. You know, it's what it is.
Wow.
If I was in Shy or
Um,
not, like I would be coming to check the Roots out. I would be going to the Roots, listen to my man Tyreek, kill it. You know what I mean? Like people should go check Tyreek or Black Thought. Check him out on YouTube. He did this Funkmaster Flex show one time. He did like this 10-minute freestyle. If you really
no,
sleeping
I
on,
seen that. I seen that, and I sat for the whole thing. It was like you opened up and read a book.
come on, man. If anybody ever slept on him before, after seeing that, they better just do like this and just call it a day. Because ain't nobody messing with Black Thought, man. Come on with that, man. Stop it. Stop playing. And then there's other groups out there that I think is dope too. Like it's a group out of Carolina called Little Brother. It's this dude named Fonte. They had Ninth Wonder on the production, but Fonte, sings with this group called Foreign Exchange. Nicolay, he can sing too, but people don't even realize. But his rhymes crazy. Like I used to be a fan of S Villa Fam, Slum Village.
Yeah.
With and then your boys, Jay Dilla's group that he had, when Jay Dilla was alive and stuff like that, with his beats. Like I'm a fan of that type of music. From the Jay Dilla from Detroit and killing the game. But just like hip hop with that musical feel, what I'm saying? Like that song Tainted that they had, like just musical.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
shit moves me, man. And then like Elzai was a new cat that came in around, and I love Elzai. But just a lot of, I love MCs who can really, really put words together that are rhythmic, that's saying something, like the Most Defs and the Talibs from back in those days, of course, like the Nas's, like a lot of cats, you know what I mean? And I just appreciate the wordplay, and real talent, real penmanship, real lyricism to make you think in a tradition of people like the Rakims and the KRS Ones and stuff like that,
Hmm.
bringing it to the modern context and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that moves me. So people always trip because I do a lot of hip hop based stuff, even though I'm this R&B dude in their people's eyes. But I grew up popping and breaking in my neighborhood. I just ended up being in the singing group, so I was always a hip hop dude in my eyes. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I could MC and all that too. You know what I mean? Well, people know me as Garfield from Shai, so I ain't pursue that path. Elite, you know what I mean? I just played my role But yeah, for sure, man. Music is good music, and people need to feel that. It's soul food.
I would love to see Shy, all you guys, do a Tiny Desk concert.
Oh, that would be dope. I
I would
love Tiny
love to
Desk.
see that.
I love Tiny Desk.
I would love to
I
see
saw
that.
that Robert Glasper. That's how I came into contact with that. And with this Tiny Desk, I think that day he had Marsha Ambrosia. I always say her name wrong. From Floetry, Marsha
Yes.
Ambrosia.
No, that's all right.
Man, so dope. And then they had Bilal on there. They had Jill Scott was on there. Then they had uh oh my God, Donny Hathaway's Layla Hathaway on there,
Yeah.
killing it with singing two notes at one time out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world is that? What is that? Yo. But Bilal is
I
one
would
of my
love to see you
favorite.
guys on there. I would love, you know what? I seen a Tiny Desk concert that really moved me, that I really had a great time looking at. It was with Black Thought and Bilal, and they were singing a song
I didn't see
for
that one. I
the
gotta be
soundtrack
fair.
of Detroit, for the soundtrack to Detroit.
Those are
It
two
was,
of my
yeah.
favorite cats, man. Because Bilal, he's not just a regular singer, even though he can sing his butt off. He's a actor, artist, or something in through song. Like he acts it out,
Hmm.
like vocally. Like he'll change voices on you, and
Yeah.
because it's just a letter to something. It's a song called "Letter to Something," like
Hmm.
it's an actual letter that a little girl wrote, and he goes into this little voice and. Oh, Bilal is incredible, incredible, incredible. Like I don't think he gets enough credit for the artist that he actually is. And him and Black Thought together, I can't even like what? That's bananas right there, right there. What? That's crazy right there. Right. Oh man.
who so I wanted to ask you, if you had the chance to work with any artist. So it's a two-part question, but the first part is, if you had a chance to work with any artist, who would you want to work with? And if you had the chance to work with any producer or educator or anything like that, who would you want to work
Dang, I got a few that I on my bucket
with?
list.
Sure, I don't. Yeah.
I love because like I said, that whole Philly, that Illa Fifth crew, that whole Roots, like
Yeah.
I would have loved Shai to do something with the Roots some kind of way. Like that, I
Oh,
just like I
that would be
rocks with
dope.
Roots the hard way, man. Music Soul Child, um,
Hmm.
like my man Raphael Sadiq. That's one of my like I put him way up here, man, as a producer and as just a talent and the way he played that bass and the way he put songs
Hmm.
together. He never comes like traditional, but his song is like crazy. His songs be crazy. And but Bilal, I love Jill Scott. Like
I want to see all of
I
them.
love Solange. Like Solange, the Beyonce sister Solange.
Solange Knowles.
Yo, I
Yeah.
would rock with her too. And of course, Erykah Badu, I would do something with. Um, but I wish I could rock with like Dwele. Like Dwele is a
Yeah.
dope producer, man. Like,
Yeah.
I've been loving Dwele ever since he did something with Bahamadia before he even came out. It was like this track with all these females rapping, and Bahamadia had two songs on it. And Dwele was the producer back then, before he even came out with his own stuff. Um, um, but who else?
I can see you collaborating with all of them.
D'Angelo, I would love to do something with. Like the way that dude right there, man. That's so much soul right there. Like D'Angelo, shit. But yeah, like those. That's like and I'm missing people too. But that's just to name a few. Like people who I would
Hmm.
love to rock with. Like like even in the modern context, like I would do something with Miguel. Like I love Miguel. Miguel is dope to me. I
He's
love
dope.
Miguel. Who's like his voice is dope to me. And like a brand new young dude that I really like is just that dude Jeremiah. I like him too. Like I like
Oh
that
no,
song
that would be
We
great.
They
Not
will
like,
be
yeah.
without you and I. That song was sick to me. Like it's crazy to me right there. Like, and he put Shai in there as like he got that ooh da, 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 like towards the end. But even without that, I just like the way this dude, that baby we can be on chill. That song chill, baby you can be on chill. That song,
Yeah, with
that
Wale.
shit
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
sick too. Like he got these dope songs, man. Like, but the way he pulls it off, he's got a smooth sound vocally. Like,
Very.
I really like that little young dude right there. He's dope. Um, so it's a few cats, man. Like I would work with, but those are some of the top ones that I think. But educators,
Yeah.
let's see, it's like oh man, like from the past, like it's Baba Asa Hilliard, who passed away. Like I would have loved to have, like been under his tutelage a little more. Um, um, John Henry Clark. Um,
Mm.
I would love to have. Let's see. It's oh, um, uh, uh, what's my Browder? Anthony Browder, Tony Browder. I would love to have sat under Tony Browder and really really taken him in some more, face to face, person to person, just to get his, understanding of things. I wish I could go back in time and just spend some time with Paul Robeson. That would have been somebody who I would
Wow.
really just love to just hit, like, because he spoke 16 languages fluently. So he was able
And it
to
was
really,
so
really,
amazing.
and he was just, his mind was just incredible. Like he got written out of history because, at that time, that the McCarthy era, they put him in communism, so they just wrote him out. And he was dangerous because he was a singer overseas and stuff like that, and doing Othello and all that. He was able to communicate in all those countries' languages, so he was able to speak to the heads of state that came to his show in their language and really talk to them about the plight of brothers. Like, and for no
That's right.
translator, he was able to speak straight from man to man, and they was feeling him, and he was able to be a mouth. So he was dangerous to America, like COINTELPRO. Like I would have really have liked to absorb that. Of course, the Malcolms, because like I said, I went through the nation, so I always looked up to Malcolm and stuff like that.
I
Um,
really, yeah. The nation is very, very,
yeah,
very
and so
knowledgeable.
like I really would have liked to have spent more time dealing with him. I really would like to spend time with like Mumia Abu Jamal. Like I would like pick
Mm,
his brain, as a journalist, as a
mm-hmm.
researcher, as a thinker, the angles that he was coming up with, and that ultimately got him in prison on some trumped up charges of killing a cop. Just to see
Mm-hmm.
where his head was and stuff like that. And I'm missing some people because I'm always there's some scholars out there that I'm missing that
Mm-hmm.
it's just so many dope ones for
Definitely.
different reasons and stuff like that that I look up to. Some great scholars. I wish I could have built a little bit with Noble Drew Ali, and check out the Moorish science and really go deep into the Moorish history because that's a big
Yes.
part of the melanated people's history that we just don't hear enough about. And it's
Yeah.
out there, but we don't get enough dose of that to like really check that out.
I just looked at that. I just looked at channel. I just looked at YouTube to look at something called True Colors. I think with
Oh yeah,
Tariq Nasheed and
Nasheed, yeah.
yeah.
Dope
And I
brother.
was like, look at all like
Dope brother.
it's so much stuff out there.
It
Um,
is. There's so much history that we just because it's not written into the official narrative, but it's
yeah,
evidence that some other stuff was going on during these times and
yeah,
before that we were a big part of. That's kind of like what influenced me to write Lotus because there is a there is a chance that in a thousand years that hip hop might not even be remembered as a black cultural product, which is crazy to
mm-hmm.
us in the now. Like what? But imagine if that could
Nah,
be done.
yeah.
Other stuff that we totally don't have no idea of that was totally our, some stuff that we have no idea that was ever a thing on this planet. And there's so many
Mm-hmm.
things like that, that we are, as melanated people are part of that we have no idea that that's our heritage. And it will help fuel us in terms of having a template to springboard us into future thought patterns and stuff like that. If we only had that as a place of departure, that we could really, really say, okay, they did it like this, and okay, we can improve on that. Like we don't even have that to springboard ourselves in a lot of ways. We got to rediscover the wheel in a lot of cases, not knowing that somebody already did that. Like Emotep, people, it's just a lot of players in history that we just don't have enough grasp on. We weren't exposed to enough to know how great we are and how our mind thinks and how outside of time we actually are and what like even the concept of now being a vital moment that's actually outside of time. You never can touch now. It's always about to be or it was, you know.
Isn't that something? And
Yeah,
and
but now it's magical, you know what I mean? It's the most vital moment. And so how can you harness now? And so even stuff like that I think about, you know what I mean? So
so I know like Instagram only lets you go so long until like it shuts off. I do not want like something like this to shut off in the middle of it. Um I wanted to say, isn't it a blessing and it's an honor to have like people like you and educators like you who have done music, who has traveled, who became a doctor to come back and educate us in a way where we understand it. Like
Yeah,
in a way we
that's
understand and we receive it.
yo,
Like
that's the best educators, the ones who you don't even know that you're learning. Like you just, you're getting a wealth of knowledge, but it feels natural, like breathing, or like swimming if you can swim. So that's what music is to me. Like Marvin was one of the best educators. You know what I mean? Donny Hathaway was one of the best. Stevie Wonder is probably the best teacher out of all. Imagine music if it never had Stevie Wonder in it. You
right.
know what I mean? Like he educated so many people on It's a Secret Life of Plants. You know, I can't believe the nucleus of all begins inside a tiny seed. Who thinks like that? You know what I mean? He's coming from that perspective to like,
You gonna get me to ask you to do it like a virtual concert. No,
man, that song, that album hit me so hard right there. And then, like, oh, the philosophical stuff that he's coming from, Secret Life of Plants. How I wish I could come back as a flower. So he's an
yeah,
educator.
so
So,
deep.
but it's coming through music. You know what I mean? So it's another thing. Like Sly and the Family Stone, like the sociological ways he was teaching about Black family life, and you know, I just want to
It's
thank you for
just so
getting them.
much. Can
It's just so much to it, man. Like, so the best teaching is the kind that you don't even realize is teaching going on, And I respect all the elders, and that put it down like that. All my ancestors who put it down like that.
so So I wanted to ask you, could I ask a little teeny bit about like where we can find your music again and where we can find your sons at if they have your two twin boys, right? Where they have like their music and stuff at if they have an Instagram before like it cuts off or before I have to wrap up
I
everything
don't
because I
know
want to get
what
all
the
this in.
Instagram. I think the Twin Towers, or Big Reek. Tyreek by himself is Big Reek. Reeq. No, EK.
Okay.
Reek. Big Reek.
Big
But
Reek,
it's Tyreek. You can probably type in Tyreek Bright, and
Tyreek
he
Bright.
light
Okay.
skinned dude with hair like this, big old. And his
Okay.
brother Garfield, they twins. They look just alike. Got the same.
Oh,
You know what I mean? But more music. I don't have a SoundCloud or anything like that, but I got a
oh,
lot of music that's gonna. I learned Pro Tools recently, and I've been doing a lot of acapella pieces where I do the beat and then I sing on top of it with my mouth.
oh,
I created some stuff,
wow.
yeah. So, and it's sounding pretty cool even by my standards. I just got to get it mixed a little bit.
Oh,
But
okay.
soon,
So, I'm
soon
sorry.
I'm gonna do something after I put the book out. Shai and me solo. I'm doing some. I'm gonna do a project. It's gonna be called Off Track, because it's gonna be all acapella, so off track, like play on
Oh,
words, and
I think that's beautiful and unique.
yeah,
It'll
I'm
be on a
hoping.
streaming platform. I'm sorry, it'll be on a streaming platform like on Spotify or
Yeah,
iTunes or
I'll make
anything like
sure it's
that.
on all of those things like that, and so,
Okay.
but I'm working towards it. I'm just gonna put out 9 songs, and I'm just trying to record maybe like 20 of them to pick 9 good ones. But it's gonna be called Off Track, and I got a couple of them that I'm really like happy about so far.
Awesome. So is there any questions that you have for me before like my time runs out? Because I could talk to you all day.
Being from Philly, because I just hear it all through your voice and stuff like that. How important has music been in terms of shaping you, in terms of your coming of age?
Awesome. So music has been very big to me, but I like literally started out finding that I wanted to do it in like a later age.
Okay.
Um, and like when I was like about to say like 17 or 18, when I found out like I wanted to sing and that I could sing and stuff like that. And the things that inspire me is like old school R&B and
Okay.
jazz and blues and all those type of stuff. So that's my genre. And that's what my voice fits well in. And I'm happy because that's like to me that's a little like unique.
Yes, it is. My favorite genre of music is jazz, like straight ahead jazz. And
Yeah.
my favorite vocalist is two vocalists, Johnny Hartman and Sarah Vaughan. Those are my two favorite vocalists of all time. And like,
Wow.
that's just
Like
what it is.
I attended Temple University for a little while to major in uh jazz
Ooh.
vocals. And I graduated from community college in 2018 with the associate's degree in uh music vocal performance.
Okay.
And then I also started getting really, really interested in the music business, music journalism, music media, and stuff like
Yes.
that. So
I love
I
it.
wanted I wanted to tell you what well when I wrap, I'm going to get ready to wrap up the interview, but I wanted to tell you thank you so much for coming,
Thanks for having
and
me.
doing this interview with me. And thank you for dropping all those Black history gems and all that music knowledge that we need. The culture does need it, need it very much so.
Music is
And tell us
life.
about your talented sons.
Man, my sons are awesome dudes. Like one is damn near virtuoso on the keyboards, and the other one is a guitarist, and incredible.
Yeah.
They're visual artists as well, but they really have a chemistry between them. They're twins, so they just musical. And their favorite artist always has been Jay Dilla, from an early age, since they was like 5 and 6. They used to just run Jay Dilla and playing Donuts, the album. So they were just Dilla heads. And so those chords that Dilla was coming up with influenced them a lot in their development.
Okay, so we have 5 more minutes. Or we have a couple more minutes. So is there anything lastly like you would like to say before I wrap everything up?
Yeah, just as artists out there, I feel like you have an obligation to feed people good food. So if you get into the industry, you know, marketing dollars and promotion, all that's dope, but it's gonna always come down to that music. So
Mm,
please make sure you're feeding people dope music. Make sure that it's quality. Make sure that you like it. You're not just trying to do a hit. You're doing something that you feel. And that's the magnetic aspect of it. Don't cut the people short. You know what I mean? Be true to it and give us some quality stuff that we can feed from because we need it.
what is some of, so I'm gonna try to squeeze this in. What is some of the best advice you would give to someone who is starting the music industry and trying to do the music industry?
Be in it for the right reasons. Be in it because you would do it without a record deal.
Mm,
And then once you get in it, really vigilantly attack it in a way to where you are actually trying to give people something that's like therapeutic, that's going to help them feel good more than
mm,
you are trying to create a hit.
mm,
Try to connect with people through your
mm,
music. So you got to brand yourself and all that stuff to do that. But the end game should be something therapeutic, something good, something good food that you thought out. Which is why I like that Solange album, which is why I love Eric Badu and Marvin and Donnie and Stevie, because they do that. You know what I mean? And they're consistent. The Roots, they can Jill Scott, they always do that. Marvin, like that's what they do. So it's always good food. So give people good food. We need it.
mm. So, okay, that will wrap up my interview with Dr. Bright. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank the viewers. I want to thank you guys for watching it and staying with us. And thank you so much for coming on, and I hope to do this again with you and just do it.
Thank you. And anytime, you got me.
Thank you so much. Good night, guys.
Buenos noches.